Hi, what's up, DS3 TV? We are back with another video. This one is What Happened to the Somali Pirates. I believe this is by. Why is it not letting me? It's not letting me see who it's by. Wait a minute. Just. Okay, cool. So, yeah, it's by h0ser, and yeah, this is going to be a really good video. Yeah, subscribe to the channel. Want to get 10,000 subscribers. Yeah, want to get 10,000 subscribers. I am gonna drink. Well, I'm gonna have the hot sauce if we get to that point, and also follow the Twitch channel. Diana got twitch.tv/Diana Goddess. It's gonna be in the link in the description. And you know, if you're feeling nice, subscribe to the channel. Subscribe to the channel also, and you can donate too if you're feeling really nice and generous. And
Somalia is almost the definition of a failed state. The Somali Civil War, which has been going on since 1991, has defined its modern history. The war has caused about 400,000 casualties and displaced over 1 million Somalis. From 1991 to 2012, Somalia essentially just did not have a government, other than local ones which sprang up and died back down. The governmental breakdown has affected all parts of Somali life. Military, education, healthcare, resources, and labor were all greatly reduced. Yet in the West, there's one thing we remember from this war, the most infamous part of the war, the Somali Pirates.
Look at me, sure. Look at me, sure. I'm the captain now.
Peaking in 2009, that's right, a year in the 21st century, were Somali pirates attacking and taking mega ships for ransom. How and why did little speedboats take down mega ships, and why has it more or less stopped nowadays if the civil war is still raging on? Look at Somalia's geography. Even though it shares long borders with Ethiopia and Kenya, its longest border is with the ocean. Its sea borders are larger than its land borders by over 1,000 kilometers. That is primed for creating an ocean-based civilization. Add in that only 1.6% of Somaliland is arable and only 0.04% of land is used for permanent crops, and you have a region that relies on fish. Insane rains in the south and desert-like conditions in the north prevent Somalis from growing enough food, so it's either fish or imports on the Somali menu. Now look at Somalia's modern history. During the scramble for Africa, the region we know as Somalia was divided between the Italians and British in this small northern territory. Through this period, many resistance wars and certain global wars caused instability, especially in the Italian portion throughout World War II. Britain seized both territories and released them on July 1st, 1960, after long-time Somali unrest. Somalia was now free as its own nation, although the British areas in the north were more developed, fertile, and stable than the rest of it. They did the classic new country things: make a constitutional referendum, have a large part of the nation rejected, shoot your president dead, and have a military coup d'etat.
nice. They follow the unstable way to run a government. Nice. That's what you
The
need.
new man in charge, Siad Barre, a military leader who had certain revolutionary ideas. He was corrupt, he was Marxist, but most importantly, he was a dictator. To be fair to him, he did dramatically increase literacy rate nationwide and implemented large infrastructure projects in the poor nation. His nationalism eventually resulted in a war with neighboring Ethiopia over lands which had ethnic Somalis in them, and realistically, the Somalis almost won. They controlled over 90% of the Ogaden territories, but the war shifted gears when the Soviets rejected aid to the Somalis, instead giving aid to the Ethiopians. Ethiopia, with heavy Cuban aid, knocked Somalia all the way back to their border. This shift in the war is when Somali history changed its trajectory from upwards to a hard downward spiral. Somalia cut ties with the Soviets. They didn't need any superpower to survive. Rebellions aided by the Ethiopians popped up all over Somalia, and in response, Barre's government became even more authoritarian. Over the next 5 years, the rebellions only got worse, and in 1991, Barre was ousted and fled the country. Classic military dictatorship, which just lost a war. Happens all the time. Okay, who's gonna replace him? What? Nobody.
Uh-oh.
That's right, Somalia just got the speedrun world record for dictatorship to anarchy. Unrest grew larger when food prices spiked up insanely high. The government and army crumbled away into warring factions. It's now when Somaliland split off of Somalia and is de facto independent to this day. It wasn't part of the war, instability, or anarchy. But let's take a pause on history to talk about the high seas. Somalia was still a fishing nation, no amount of anarchy would change that, and local fishermen still had to catch, sell, and eat. When the government collapsed, it meant the navy would no longer operate. Somalia's territorial waters were now only a figment of their imagination if no one could enforce them. This of course resulted in foreign fishing vessels illegally fishing in Somali waters, stealing from the poor. Local fish supply plummeted, and the already starved and mid-war nation was hit even harder. Locals took matters into their own hands. Fishermen and ex-army men formed small groups to keep foreign fishers away. One thing led to another, and these fishermen were now holding the fishing trawls for ransom, all with their small little motorboats. Word spread around the Somali coast of a new business that could make the poorest people on earth rich. But they now had their eyes on something even bigger, commercial ships. Young pirates, mostly from the south, would go out early in the morning on their speedboats, tracking commercial ships with GPS devices. They would follow them for hours, sometimes far into the Indian Ocean. Once at the ship, they would shoot at it with rocket-propelled grenades or firearms until they're close enough to climb on it with a ladder. From there, it's pretty easy to take control of the ship if you have AK-47s and the merchants don't. The crew would be held hostage while the Somalis got in touch with the organization or government's military to request a ransom. In the majority of cases, the ransom was paid and the crew was released, the average time being 45 days later. This method surged in popularity between 2005 and 2012, where since then only 5 attacks have been reported. Cargo ships, fishing vessels, and cruise ships were all targeted off the Somali coast. A stock market even grew out of the piracy business, with wealthy investors buying and selling shares of pirate missions in the town of h0ser. The first commercial ship to be caught in this mess was the Hong Konger MS Feisty-Gas, a petroleum gas tanker, and the first casualty was on the Taiwanese FV Qingfang-Hua 168, where the ship's owners failed to meet ransom demands. Luckily, only 1 out of 15 crew members were killed. Piracy cost the world about $7 billion annually due to global trade losses and ransom fees, upwards of $2 million in cash. But this does not fly, not at all, says every nation who trades. The Red Sea trade route is one of the most used in the world, being the link between...
Yeah, I'm gonna bet you that none of the powerful countries are gonna stand for it, so you literally only had a little bit of time to do that.
Europe and Asia, but still everywhere on Earth was affected by these trade disruptions, especially Egypt since the Suez Canal is near. It was time to stop this foolishness. Combined Task Force 150 and 151, led by the USA with 32 other nations, started a mission to combat piracy in the region, based out of the US Navy base in Bahrain. In fact, China's only overseas naval base is in Djibouti to deal with these unstable waters, but legally they weren't allowed to actually enter Somali waters and do anything about the attacks. So, the UN Security Council voted unanimously in 2008 to allow all nations with the consent of the Somali Transitional Government to enter Somali waters and deal with the pirates. The far majority of the pirates got away, however, because if they never shot at their targets, they never technically committed a crime. What these missions did result in is an overall drop in Somali piracy by 2012. 237 hijacks were attempted in 2011, while only 75 were in 2012.
Oh my god, that's a pretty big drop off.
It is also likely that the formation of autonomous regions in Puntland and Makir stopped many of the pirates in the north. Looking at neighboring Somaliland, it never had a pirate problem under a stable government.
Well, Somaliland became its own country, so, it's there now. I don't know. I mean, I heard the country's not doing too good, but that's because it's a new country, so I could see that.
While the civil war is still ongoing, a federal government of Somalia was established in 2012 as well, bringing some form of authority to the now 30 years of anarchy. The latest attacks were in 2017 with 2 unsuccessful attacks, both released with no ransom, and in 2018 with 1 unsuccessful attack. It looks like the pirates might have finally lost. But the US has recently been going through some global mood swings. It doesn't really have the desire or the need to protect the Middle East and surrounding regions anymore. They can power themselves with 100% domestic gas. It's not to say that the whole operation will go south. Many other nations are involved in anti-piracy attacks and regional trade. And of course, it's not just oil going through the region, so the US still has some incentive to keep the region safe. The Somali civil war and lack of government has had some fairly major unforeseen effects on the world system. It goes to show how connected humanity is through global trade if some pirates on speedboats can cost $7 billion worldwide and shift geopolitical attention towards the Arabian Sea. The practice only slowed down when major world powers combined naval forces and studied the pirates for 4 years. The pirates created a whole stock market based around ransom, something straight out of the 1700s Caribbean. With the Somali Civil War nearly finished in the north and a semi-government in place, pirate attacks have practically come to a stop. But with the Civil War still raging on in the south and the US disengaged from the whole region, don't be surprised if the Somali pirates make their triumphant return. If you like this video, hold the like button.
I liked it. I liked the video. It was pretty good. Pretty informative, and yeah, I didn't know that. So it's basically stopped in 2017. That's kind of interesting. But yeah, I'll talk to you guys in the next video. Subscribe to the channel, 10,000 subscribers. So I can have the h0ser hot sauce and, you know, eat it in a video for you guys. And yeah, also comment videos that you want me to watch in the comment section down below. And talk to you guys in the next video, and peace.